Dear valued investors, welcome to Market Insight BRI Manajemen Investasi. In this session, we'll explore the latest market updates and uncover emerging trends to help you make informed investment decisions. United States Zone. March inflation showed a decline, rising by only 2.4% year-on-year compared to 2.8% year-on-year in February. On a monthly basis, inflation fell by 0.1% month-on-month, compared to an increase of 0.2% month-on-month in February. March retail sales data will be released this week, and it is expected to grow by 1.4% month-on-month, significantly higher than the 0.2% month-on-month growth recorded in February. President Donald Trump has implemented a 90-day suspension on most reciprocal tariff, applying only a 10% tariff during this period. However, the import tariff on Chinese products remains at 145%. Electronics, including smartphone and chip components, are temporarily exempt from the 145% tariff, although this exemption is not permanent. China Zone. China's first quarter 25 GDP growth is expected to be released this week, with market consensus projecting a growth of 5.2% year-on-year, down from 5.4% year-on-year in fourth quarter 24. Indonesia Zone. March inflation picked up but remained within the target. On year-on-year and month-on-month basis, it rose by 1.03% and 1.65% respectively, compared to February's deflation of minus 0.09% year-on-year and minus 0.48% month-on-month. Several economic indicators are scheduled to be released this week, including March foreign reserve, which were recorded at $154.4 billion as of February. March Consumer Confidence Index, where consumer optimism in February was still strong, recorded above the 100 threshold at 126.4. Market view. The Jakarta Composite Index JCI declined by 3.82% week-on-week, closing at 6,262.226. The pause in Trump's plan to raise import tariffs, capping them at around 10% for 90 days, and the temporary exemption of Chinese products, specifically electronics including smartphones and chip components, from the 145% tariff should serve as a positive catalyst for the JCI this week. Additionally, domestic data such as March foreign reserves and the Consumer Confidence Index are expected to add further positive sentiment to the JCI. Foreign investors recorded a net sell of 5.32 trillion Indonesian rupiah over the past week, bringing the year-to-date outflow to 35.86 trillion Indonesian rupiah. The three weakest performing sectors were technology, consumer cyclicals, and industrials, which declined by minus 7.08%, minus 6.05%, and minus 4.20% respectively on a weekly basis. Indonesia's bond market on April 11, 2025, recorded an increase in the 5-year benchmark yield FR0104 to 6.85%, while yields on longer-dated tenors, namely the 10-year FR0103, 15-year FR0106, and 20-year FR0107, remained stable at 7.04%, 7.06%, and 7.04% respectively. Meanwhile, the yield on a 10-year Indon bond Indon 34 climbed to 5.52% and the yield on a 10-year U.S. Treasury rose to 4.49%, up from their respective levels of 5.08% and 3.99% on March 4, 2025. Indonesia's risk premium as reflected by the 5-year CDS increased to 112.38 basis points. Additionally, the rupiah depreciated by minus 1.54% week-on-week, weakening to 16,795 Indonesian rupiah. As of April 10, 2025, foreign ownership in the government bond market stood at 889.70 trillion Indonesian rupiah, 14.28% of the total outstanding, down from 892.72 trillion Indonesian rupiah, 14.32% of the total outstanding, on March 26, 2025. The Fed is expected to cut interest rates twice, totaling 50 basis points in 2025, after lowering the benchmark interest rate by 100 basis points in 2024. The U.S. economy remains on track for a soft landing, with growth projected at 1.7% year-on-year in 2025. Similarly, Bank Indonesia is expected to implement an expansionary monetary policy in 2025, which is anticipated to positively impact Indonesia's economic growth. The bond market is likely to respond positively initially, driven by improving macroeconomic conditions, followed by a strong performance in the JCI. That concludes today's Market Insight. Stay tuned for more updates and follow us on social media. See you next week in the Market Insight BRI Manajemen Investasi.